Welcome back to the Playhouse. Hey, we've been having a very serious conversation for the last, I don't know how many hours. Derek and myself got here at 7 o'clock and it's now 5:49.
Yep.
Pius, thank you so much for sharing your journey. Thank you so much for coming to this platform, because I know part of the reason why, a core reason as to why you wanted to come to this platform is because you wanted to help people who are going through a very difficult season of their life through sharing your journey. So the journey thus far for me was very important, that people understand your character, that they understand the relationship that you had with Helima, so that we're not just speaking about the difficulty that you're going through in this season without people not having context. So it was so important for people to understand your character, where God plays with you, the marriage that you had with Helima before she transitioned, the children that you have, before us get into this conversation. So I'm going to fast forward the story and I'm going to pass the baton to you. But I want us to enter into this conversation of losing the love of your life, your wife, and how you have been going through this season, and sharing what you can share, because I know you're doing that with the intent of helping others. So over to you.
Yeah, I mean, I think my wife transitioned to heaven, to different address, or a heavenly address, on July 2nd this year. I was very privileged to be there in person.
Can I ask what happened?
Yeah. And it started on 12th June 2022. We were just at home, me and her. We tried to watch a movie. I think because of age, we slept off, and we woke up at about 3 a.m. and we were, she was on the couch, I was on the couch, and I told her, let's just go upstairs and sleep. But this happened again to be her birthday, so I was very excited. I wished her happy birthday, because I hadn't even written the card. We spent the previous day with my son, Lemuel, looking for gifts for her and all that stuff. And we came in the evening. But it was more important, we spent time together. So I was like, I'll surprise her in the morning with the card and the gifts. So I was like, you know what? Let me not bother with the gifts for now. Let me pray for her. So I prayed for her. She was very happy. And then she was just turning in bed. She was 37 weeks pregnant. And she was turning quite close to giving birth. So it's like moving a ship, or turning a ship. And that slow process, she was like, oh, I feel a painful muscle pull around the abdomen. And it was so painful that she didn't want even me to touch it. So I moved closer just to check on her side of bed, and suddenly she just passed out. And I knew this thing is serious. So I smacked her up and I told her, wake up. And she woke up, and we started both saying, you shall live and not die. I was saying, you shall live and not die. Now she was saying, I shall live and not die. And this happened like 3 times. And every time I would smack up and wake up, and now I knew, now the issue was, how do we get to hospital? I thought of calling an ambulance, but just looking at the situation, I thought the ambulance might be too late. So I was like, you know what, let's get her in the car. So I got the help of house helps, carried her to the car, and
this around
3 a.m. 4 a.m. in the morning. I drove like a madman. 20 minutes or less, we were at Nairobi Hospital. Literally carried her.
Was she conscious?
She was conscious.
Okay.
Literally carried her with my arms and put her on a wheelchair that was there at the emergency, wheeled her to an examination room, And from there, it was game on, as in doctors took over. Drips, everything, rings being removed. You have this, and you can see I'm putting 2 rings. Put on her rings. Everything, I mean, things were just happening very fast. So quick assessment, and the doctor at night was like, we suspect a rupture of the womb. So you're like, okay, this is an emergency operation. So now it's a dash to the theater, and doctors were being called from, including her own doctor. And at about 5 a.m. in the morning, almost 40 minutes later since we arrived, she was now wheeled into the theater.
Was she conscious at the time?
Conscious and lucid. So I thought it was going to be an hour or 2 operation. And I remember even telling the doctor, please save my wife and my child. And the doctor was like, the child we don't know, but the wife we shall try and save. So statistically, doctors, when they suspect there's a rupture, they don't think the child would survive. So I believed in my heart that the child would survive, my wife would survive. Those are, we were just happy. So they wheeled her into the theater, and that was the beginning of a 10-hour operation. And I saw other people being wheeled in, women who are pregnant on emergency. I saw them being wheeled out. My wife was still there. I saw their kids being wheeled out. My kid was not there. And I was just praying. I was praying and, walking to and fro on the corridors of Nairobi Hospital.
Had you called anybody at this time?
I didn't even have my phone. I had forgotten my phone. Luckily, one of the doctors, there's a Dr. Wasuna,
yes,
my friend. He was one of the doctors, so I asked him, bro, can I use your phone? About 2 hours later, and we have common friends, so it was easy to use his phone. I informed a few people, and they informed others, and soon there was a good quorum. People, guys were kneeling on the floors, and on the corridors, and it was so much intercession going on. And after 10 hours, almost evening now, she was wheeled out. The baby came out.
Yes.
The baby came out fast after about 2 hours or so. And I was so happy. The baby was barely breathing by the time she was removed. That's amazing, Zoe. And I accompanied the pediatrician. She had to go to the newborn's ICU. And a process of cooling the brain down started so that there'll be no brain damage. The baby seemed to be doing well. There was no cause for concern, just that the baby scored very low, 2, the first 1 minute. So from there, it was just about waiting for my wife, and 10 hours later, she was out, and you could just see it was a brutal surgery. And that began a 21-day stay and very painful season of waiting in the ICU. I became one of the people who work in Nairobi Hospital ICU, and it was a very tough period because, the first night nobody expected, as in from a doctor's perspective, making through the night was, the chances were minimal. And every day it was, her dying was a possibility. First 1 week.
Did they communicate this to you?
Oh yes, the ICU staff have a protocol to follow, and one of the things that they must do is to brief you, and especially when the patient is critical.
Oh.
So I was bombarded by bad news every day, and it was going through a trauma. You know, it was not like it was really going through a traumatic experience. Several times she almost died. The first night, of course, she almost died. The second day, she almost died. On the fourth day, she almost died. It was all, you know, we were hanging on a thread. Very, very tough season. Very, very tough season. So, I mean, you think she's going to be there for a few days, then 1 week passes, another week passes, another week passes, and she's supported by machines on everything. You know, I remember the billing was like $500,000 a day.
$500,000 a day?
$500,000 a day. Even if you have the best medical cover, even a 50 million cover, one month is gone, you know? So anyway, that was the list of my problems. Mine, I just wanted my wife to come out. We have this young baby. Now I have 2 people in ICU. I have my newborn and I have my wife in ICU. And it was a season I could only go back to my anchor.
Your center.
My center.
Your center.
My center. And I remember one of those nights, God asked me, can you praise me in this situation?
Yeah.
And I just started praising him. I said, God, yes, I can praise you. And I just started praising him. I just started singing, and the songs that Helima used to like. And I had hope, you know, that she was going to leave. Then I just started seeing the very thin line between life and death. Everybody around her was dying, you know. I mean, every day someone was dying.
At the ICU?
Yeah. And I remember a time she was in this cubicle and right gone, left all gone, opposite gone. It's a place where, I mean, it's a very difficult place for people who work there.
Yeah. It requires a certain grace.
You need grace. So I became very familiar with death. And the spirit of death was clearly hovering there. And so many people joined us now to pray for Helima.
Yes.
A sub-group was formed. We had more than 500 people praying for her, comforting us, you know, being there for us, as in every day.
And you gave us updates every single day in that WhatsApp group.
And now that day when God asked me, can you praise me in this situation, is a day I began calling my updates praise reports. Like, you know what, I'm going to give praise even in this situation. So...
Yes, I remember. Even, for example, when some of the organs would get off life support,
yes,
you'd write there as a praise report.
Praise report. Praise report. In my heart, I was so convinced that she will come out. And the second week, she started recovering. And she was doing okay. We started getting her off most of the life support machines. And she then, we started switching, reducing the sedation, the induced coma. She opened her eyes. And I remember one time that I'll never forget, when she was awake, she wouldn't talk. because she had all these all these pipes around her, and she held my hand really tight and put it next to her side, and she didn't want to let me go.
Oh man.
And I was personally sick myself because I was trying to feel everything she was feeling because she couldn't talk for herself. So that was also very strange. That, you know, when you're married, you're one. You, to an extent, you can start feeling the pain of the other person. And I'm trying to interpret it for the doctors. And you know, it went on. Her parents were, our mom was in India with our dad for medical reasons. They came back, they found her there. We really tried to manage them because we didn't want to make the situation worse for them when they were there. There's nothing they could do anyway.
Yes.
But I'm glad they were able to come. Like a week before.
What about the children? What are you telling the kids at this time?
Kids, I'm telling them mom is in hospital and you have a new sister, you know. So amazing Zoe, the baby, after 7 days, she was declared, you know, she has a clean bill of health and she was ready to go home. Now she's going home to know mom. So now we had to think about, so who is going to take care of her? What is she going to be feeding on? And thankfully, you know, Helima's sister,
yes,
you know,
Susan
was gracious enough. Susan Otieno and her husband, I mean, really amazing people. They were gracious enough to just allow Susan to come and stay with us and take care of the baby as we wait for Helima. Then she seemed to be doing well until the last week of June, where, I mean, she was just had fever, which was not going away. So there was suspicion there's infection. And eventually the doctors recommended that they do a third operation. I think this really took the wind out of her. So third operation on 1st of July and 2nd of July she was gone. I was there with her about 1:30 p.m. I was praying for her. And then her heartbeat just went from 65 to 0. Boom. I called the nurses and the doctors. I knew how to read the machines, you know. I could read any machine.
BP.
BP is even, I could read even the ventilator. I called them, they came, attempted to resuscitate her. Her heartbeat never came back. And 14:11, they called it. And there was music playing. I was always playing music, you know, 24 hours, worship music. And we just held hands, my friends and I, and we just sang praise to God. We sang praise to God and we released her to God, and we were crying and we were praising, you know. And that became the end of a very beautiful 12 years, the best 12 years of my life yet. And I reached a line that I never thought, that is called, I now call, until death do us apart.